Hello lovely people, welcome to my 2019 reading wrap-up video.
Sophie Vlogs.
I have a sort of loose aim with this video. I thought I would go through my 2019 reading stats, talk about if I hit my reading goals this year, and then set myself some new goals for 2020. I'm doing things slightly differently in 2020, we'll see. I'm just going to dive into my 2019 stats and then go onward from there. So, when I did this video last year, I was like, I will never read more books in a year than I have in 2018. I was wrong. I did it this year. Good lord. I don't know what happened. So I set myself to read, at the start of the year, I set myself to read 150 books, I think. I'm recording this slightly before Christmas, so I think that there will be a couple of books added to this, because I'm currently halfway through The Name of the Wind, and I'm also planning on reading Sense and Sensibility over Christmas, so potentially add 2 books to this, but this year I read 194 books, which is wild, which translates to 66,265 pages, which is also wild. The shortest book I read was The Three Electronites by Stanislaw Lem, which came in at 54 pages, which was a short story collection that was 4 short stories, science fiction. It was very interesting. The longest book I read this year was The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas, which was 1,276 pages, which was, I reviewed it quite recently. I'll leave a link below if you're interested, because that was a cracker of a book and I really enjoyed it. My average book length was 341 pages, so like on average I'm reading about like a 350 to 400 page book, but I also have veered wildly. I did a Harry Potter reread this year, so the most popular book on Goodreads that I read this year was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. I will be posting in the new year. I recorded my thoughts after finishing a reread of the whole series. I am going to post that. I am aware that J.K. Rowling has come out with some shit recently. I am going to film a preface to that video, but I am still going to post the video, I think, because I'm a bit of a fan of this let's divorce the author from the thing if it's something that you like. I don't know, there's a topic. The least popular on Goodreads books that I read was Fashioning the Feminine, Representation in Women's Fashion from the Fin de Siècle to the Present by Cheryl Buckley and Hilary Fawcett. 7 other people have read that book. I don't know if this is interesting stats, but we're going with it. My average rating for 2019 was 3.5 stars, which I think is fair. I think I read a lot of, to me a 3-star book is just like a solidly good book, and so I think a lot of the books I read tend to get a 3-star rating because they're good books. And then, but also 4 stars if I'm like, there's something special here. The highest rated book on Goodreads that I read was Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Shock horror. So yeah, those are my essential stats for the year. I have had a very good reading year, not specifically because I've read lots of books, but because I feel like I have read some really great books this year, and I've gotten back into some genres which I have always loved, but I feel like I haven't explored a lot maybe in the last couple of years. So I feel like I've had a really good year of discovering new things and testing out genres and stuff that I'm not super familiar with, but also reconnecting to a lot of genres which I've always liked but have not been super exploring recently. At the start of this year, I set myself 10 books I wanted to read, and then I reassessed that in June, and I posted a wrap-up of all the ones I had read already, and then set myself a couple of new ones. I don't know if I posted it yet or not, but there is a video going up which is the latter half, those books that I read from that list, a roundup of all of those, which will either be posted before this one or after this one. This coming year, I'm going to do something a bit different. I'm not going to set myself 10 specific books at the start of the year, because I find it really hard to know what the best way to wrap them up is, because I feel like if I just pepper them throughout book chats, that means you just have to watch all of my book chats, and like I know from watching things, you don't always watch every single video someone puts out because you're a busy human being with your own life, you know? And so then I tried doing this, putting them all into one video, but then again, I don't know if that works so well. So I thought instead what I'm going to do, I'm going to set a couple of broader aims and then set myself some genres that I want to explore more and give you some examples of the types of books that I'm planning on reading. So then maybe it's like a little tease, what could you be seeing this year in Sophie? And then, like, I'll just talk about these books as and when I read them, rather than doing, like, a specific end-of-year wrap-up. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that. I just don't know how much fun those videos are, because my reading taste is quite wide, that I'm aware that not everyone will care about all of the books. I don't know. So, broader aims I'm setting myself. My top aim is that I'm really prioritising reading books that I own. My TBR pile is getting a little bit unmanageable because I get really excited. People lend me a lot of books. I have an ongoing book swap with, like, my mum and my boyfriend, but also people, lovely people in my life, lend me lots of books, and I always say yes to being offered to read a book because it's very interesting. It gets you to read things that you probably wouldn't have picked up on your own, or introduces you to new authors that you had know nothing about, and I just feel like it's a really beneficial thing to do, and it helps you, like, get an insight into, like, what your friends like and stuff. So I'm still going to do that. I also do use my library quite a lot, and I am still going to also do that, but I am also very much prioritising reading the books that I already own. So when I set myself some genres in a minute, I'm going to give you examples of books that I already own that fit those genres, rather than books which are maybe new releases, stuff like that, that I do want to check out. I'm focusing on what I own. The second one is, and I started doing this a little bit already, but reading bigger books. I want to get through some of the chunkier books in my TBR pile, and partly just because I feel like we all have this a little bit. Sometimes you can be a bit intimidated to read a chunkier book. But, like, I am currently reading Name of the Wind, which is like 600 and something pages. As I said in the stats, I read The Count of Monte Cristo, which was like 1,000 and something pages. And it's a nice reminder that, like, a chunky book is often chunky because it's just, like, full of really great stuff. Like, that's not a problem. So I am going to make sure I read some of the bigger ones on my little pile, so I'm excited for that. Oh. This is my mask. It just fell off and hit me. Thank you, ghost of the flat. Another thing is also, I do want to keep working on my goal, which is to complete some of the series that I have been reading for a while. So I did start doing that again this year. So, for example, I am going to continue reading Catherine Kerr's Devery Cycle. I've read 2 4-book series of it. There are 2 more 4-book series to go. So I'm going to try and read the next cycle, so that's 4 books for sure, because I think she's just released another book, and, like, I need to catch up. So I'm going to try and read that. I have been getting the Lunar Chronicles out of my library. I am going to continue trying to do that. Generally, all of these series that I posted about when I did that series video a while ago, I do want to do a follow-up to that and just, like, do a check-in and be like, okay, this is where we're at. These are the series I'm continuing with. These are the series that I'm not going to continue with. Crack on. As well as that, there are genres which I want to continue to explore. So, genre number 1 is science fiction. I have always loved science fiction, but I kicked off 2019. I kicked off 2019 by taking part in Tome Infinity and Beyond, and that is a science fiction readathon that is led by Meg from Tome Infinity. It's cracking. It was very, very good. I had such a good time. It was a wonderful way to kick off my year, and it got me back into reading sci-fi, classic sci-fi as well as contemporary sci-fi. So, already breaking my books I own, I do want to read more Isaac Asimov. I really enjoyed Foundation. I want to continue the Foundation saga. I want to read iRobot, etc. But science fiction that I own, I want to read the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. That's one that I mentioned a couple of times in TBR videos, and I just never got around to it, so I do want to prioritise that. And This Is How You Lose the Time War. I've heard such good things. I'm really excited for that one as well. So I just want to explore a bit more science fiction, both classic and contemporary. Same goes for fantasy. I set myself to read Lord of the Rings this year, last year, I don't know when I'm posting this, but I absolutely adored Lord of the Rings. I was really intimidated that I wouldn't like it, and actually it was fantastic. I had such a good time reading it. So again, I want to read some classic fantasy, and I want to read some contemporary fantasy. I am halfway through Name of the Wind, so I will be continuing. I have the 2nd book, but also just, like, dipping into, I want to read the 2nd book of the City of Brass series. I have some fantasy which is slightly more, like, historical fantasy, so like Juliette Marillier and like Ilka Tamke, stuff like this. So there are a lot of fantasy books which I'm really excited about diving back into again, so that is really great. And if you have any recommendations for any of these genres, please do leave me recommendations down below, because I will still be going to my library. I'm not going to not buy any books for the whole year, so all recommendations are always welcome. I just really am trying to read the ones that I already own in my lovely, lovely piles, because they're great. A more recent thing which I've really been enjoying is I've been loving children's literature again. I get a lot of children's literature, because I work for a magazine publishers, we get sent children's books quite a lot, and I often take them home because no one else is interested in, and I am. So particular highlights have been like Frostheart by Jamie Littler, Bronte Mettlestone by Jacqueline Moriarty, just these like wonderful children's lit books with like what fantastic ideas. I've been loving them. Examples of this is I have Lucy Worsley's book, which is about Jane Austen and her sister, which is aimed at like a middle grade level, which I'm excited for because I read Lucy Worsley's Tudor book this year. I've got A Place Called Perfect by Helena Duggan, which Miriam at Between Lines of Life and Matt at MCS Books have been telling me is fantastic. So I have got some nice ones lined up. I am excited to do a little bit more middle grade this year because it's just, it's been like warming my little cockles of my heart. And then another genre is fairly broad, but I want to read more non-fiction. I read quite a lot of non-fiction, I will say that. It's just that Non-Fiction November was quite recently. I had such a fantastic time doing Non-Fiction November. I'm particularly enjoying memoirs at the moment. I want to continue reading Maya Angelou's memoir series. That's really interesting. I'm really enjoying memoirs that are like giving you a glimpse into someone interesting, but then also like these little interesting worlds, whether that is like activism, like I read Benjamin Zephaniah's memoir, and that was really great, or if it's like the world of music, the world of writing, all of these things. Like memoirs are such a great glimpse into people's lives, and I'm really enjoying that. I also have some memoirs which are into topics that I don't really know anything about, so I have two sort of non-fiction-y memoir books which are all about China, and I don't know anything about China, so I'm looking forward to reading those. So that's Wild Swans and Life and Death in Shanghai. Both of those, I'm not sure if I'm going to read both of them this year because they are both a bit chunky, but I want to read at least one of them this year, and I want to continue sort of introducing myself to topics and things that I don't understand through memoirs, because I find that quite an easy start point to then go off and explore further, so I'm looking forward to doing that. And finally, I would like to continue to read some classics. So, for example, this year I read The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins, and that was really interesting. I read stuff like Count of Monte Cristo, but also I haven't read it yet, but hopefully by the time this goes live I will have read Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. So I am also enjoying reading classics. I do have some on my pile. I've got Dracula, I've got another Jane Austen. I always get the wrong one. I always say the wrong one and I can't remember which one it is. Mansfield Park, I'm pretty sure, is the one that I have. But I think I always want to say that I've got Persuasion. That might be the other way round, because I'm questioning it now, but I've got one of them. So I do want to continue to read some more classics. I think I'm going to leave it there genre-wise and just set a couple of video making aims, which I don't normally do because I tend to view this as just like a very chill, casual little book club where, like, if you want to come in and watch a video and have a chat, that's wonderful, it's lovely to have you. If you don't feel like it, there's no hard feelings, carry on your way. We're very chill over here at Redhead Reading. But, 2 or 3 things. So, I recently did the highest rated books on my TBR. I am going to work my way through as many of them as possible and hopefully do a wrap up this year. Some of them are like poetry collections or like anthologies and stuff, so that might be a bit tricky, but we'll see. I also do want to turn my dissertation into a video series. I'm just still figuring out how to do that because my dissertation was all about the character of Briseis from the Iliad and then tracing her throughout English literary theory. English literary history. But I'm just still kind of working. I don't really script videos. I'm not very good at just like reading a script in a vid, so I kind of need to figure out how to like translate all of this academic language into just like a chill video. but that's hopefully going to be a series that happens at some point. And I also have not forgotten that I said I was going to do some videos for the Books You've Never Heard Of series, which is recommending books that are lesser known on Goodreads that are themed around a topic. So I am also still working on that. And partly some of them, why I haven't done them, is because I have books in my TBR that I think would go really well in those videos. I haven't read them yet, and I want to read them before I recommend them, because they might not be good. So those will hopefully be coming in the new year. Yeah, if there's anything you'd like to see from me, do let me know. Someone says they want me to do the, Do I Have That Book challenge, which I am planning on doing at some point. So yeah, if there's ever anything that you're like, I would really like to see that, just let me know. I'll try and do it. All is good. Otherwise, I think that's everything. I hope this was vaguely interesting and not just me listing off shit and you being like, that's dull, Sophie. I would love to know, number one, do you set yourself goals? I feel like I ask this every year, but it is interesting to sort of hear people's justifications for why they do and don't set themselves goals, because sometimes I find goals really useful, and sometimes, as can be seen by these videos, I throw the goals to the wind, because I'm a huge mood reader. But it is interesting. If you are setting yourself goals, what sort of goals are you setting yourself? Are you focused on like hitting numbers or page counts? Are you focused on like exploring certain topics? Like, what are your goal styles? What do you find helpful and motivational versus what is just terrifying and unachievable? And then also, as I said, if you have any recommendations for books that would fit these categories and genres and stuff like that, I would still like to hear them, even though I am going to focus on the books that I own. How many times can I say that before I actually do it? But yes, I think that's everything. Just to finish it off, I hope you're having the loveliest of times. I hope that you had a really nice festive season. Sometimes it can be a bit rubbish and hard and terrible based on personal experience, but also sometimes it can be lovely and delightful. So I hope yours is the latter, not the former. But either way, New Year is an opportunity to pick yourselves up, go in, new attitude, whatever. I like using it as like a little... I always feel like we have celebrations in December because winter is dark and demotivating and we need something to like get us through. So like, I hope you're having a good one, is what this ramble's saying. And I will see you next time for something different.